everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a brand new video, which is a thrift flip collab. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Madison. I am a high school fashion design teacher by day and a seamstress and YouTuber by night and by weekend. So welcome to my channel if you are brand new here, and if you're not, welcome back for another video. I'm super excited about this video because it is a thrift flip collaboration with a fabulously talented creator who is very skilled at creating pieces, brand new pieces from things that she thrifted in. So I am very excited to be teaming up with her. Her name is Tiffany from her channel LittleToh, and we are going to be tackling a super fun and exciting project where we actually thrift pieces for each other and then we send them to each other and then transform them into something new, but we will not know what the other person is turning it into until we reveal it on video. So many exciting things are happening, but before I dive into this very fun project, I want you to meet Tiffany.
Hi, my name is Tiffany and my YouTube channel is On The Go with LittleToh. I'm a New York City based performer and I've been on Broadway in several national tours, but I started my YouTube channel last year just to document all the projects that I was sewing and upcycling. I've done a few thrift flip challenges before on my channel, but I am so excited to be doing this one with Madison. I've been a longtime fan of hers here on YouTube. I love her aesthetic, her sewing skills are goals, and I am beyond excited to be doing this collaboration with her.
Alright, I just got to the thrift store and it just kind of started raining outside, so you can probably hear it on the roof, but we are here to thrift the piece I am going to send to Tiffany for her to turn into some fabulous creation. She's doing the same thing, so if you want to see her whole process, go check out her video to see her thrifting process and also what she turns my piece into. But anyways, our target budget is $10. So I'm at the Family Thrift Center because I always find way better prices here than at Goodwill. And so we're gonna see what we find. I'm either looking for one really good piece or two pieces that can work together and have enough fabric to be turned into something really great. So I'm gonna take you along with me, but I'm not going to actually show you what I get to kind of create the suspense. So you're gonna have to watch Tiffany's video to see what I end up sending her, and then you have to watch my video to see what she sends me. So let's head into the thrift store. So we got 4 potential items for the thrift flip and they go together, so like 2 go together and then another 2 go together, so I have to decide which ones I'm going to send to Tiffany because I really like the potential for both of them. So who knows which ones I will send, but then I got other stuff besides that, so yeah. On to the studio. So since this is a collaboration project, Tiffany and I will be working on both of our projects individually, but we will come together at the end to reveal them to each other. Make sure that you check out her video as well. I will put the link in the description of this video below so that you can see what she transforms the pieces that I thrifted for her into, and then here in my video you will see the pieces that she sent me and that I turned them into. So without further ado, we are going to dive into the pieces that she sent me and get designing. Okay, so these are the 3 pieces that I got from Tiffany that she sent over for me to flip and transform into something new. So first up is this gorgeous green shirt, kind of silky polyester satiny. Then we have this cream sheet, which is fabulous because we all know that I love sheets as fabric, and because this is cream, there's a lot of potential to turn it into different colors, and it's basically just a lot of fabric to work with for this project, which is awesome. And then the last thing is probably going to be the most challenging piece for this thrift flipped, but it is going to be this checkered green and brown vintage blazer. So now that we have our 3 pieces, it's time to start brainstorming what I'm going to turn these into. So we're gonna sketch up ideas. So I struggled for the longest time with what I was going to make, and then inspiration struck, and you will not believe it, but I am making pants for this project. I just had this vision come into my head of these really cool cargo pants with kind of this mock corset top that I would turn the bodice into, and then a cropped blazer. So I'm super excited about what this is all going to turn into. Here's the inspiration sketch. Now let's get started. Alright, so my first step in this project is going to be to dye the sheet, and I'm going to be dyeing it a tan color. So I kind of wanted the pants to be more on like the khaki light brown side, so I'm hoping that this color works. I got this RIT color when I was in New York at one of the fabric stores because they had a larger assortment of different RIT dyes. So this is the color I'm going to go with because I wanted it to be a lot more versatile of a color to be worn with different pieces rather than just being brown. So I think this is the lighter color we're going to go with. So we're going to go dye this, and then we're going to come back and start working on the other pieces. RIT dye always comes with instructions on the package, but how I typically dye my fabric using this dye is simply using hot water from my bathtub or in the shower with a giant Tupperware container. I mix all my dye together, I add it to the water solution, and then I add my dampened fabric. Let it sit for however long I want it to get my desired color, and that's about it. It's pretty foolproof. We're going to start off this project with transforming the blouse. So my vision for this blouse is to take the green blouse and turn it into this kind of mocked corset style top that's super on trend but also gives inspiration to the 1940s. So I'm using a pattern that I already have. It's actually the pattern that I self-drafted and created for my Fairytale Princess Dress earlier on in one of my past videos. I'll link it down below, which the dress itself kind of had these panels that created the bodice. So I traced them out, but then I adapted them by making them shorter and also lowering the top sections of the pattern pieces so that it would fit with the overall silhouette I wanted to have for my new bodice. So basically there end up being like 4 or 5 pieces in the front of the bodice and then 4 or 5 pieces in the back all sewn together to kind of create this mock corset look. So after all of my pattern pieces are kind of redrafted out, I started ripping out all of my seams so that I could basically turn the bodice itself into a piece of fabric to then be able to cut out all of the pieces I needed. I also wanted to cut out lining pieces for this section of the bodice, so as I was cutting each individual piece, I also cut the lining, and you can easily do this by simply layering all your fabric together and then cutting out each piece as its own, and then you get multiple pieces at one time. So as I started cutting these out, I realized that I was getting very short on fabric, and I had to get very strategic about how I was going to cut out all of these different pattern pieces from the bottom of my bodice. So after those were all cut out, I went to my bodice and I removed the shoulder pads and the sleeves because I was going to bring in the shape of the shoulders and also change kind of the overall shape of the top section of the bodice. And then I was going to re-sew it all together, as you will soon see. So since this bodice is probably from the 80s, it definitely has a very oversized shoulder. So what I wanted to do is slim down the shoulders. So all I did was just narrow them a bit by cutting off some of that fabric. And then I also cut off about 2-3 inch sections off of the side of the bodice because I needed some extra fabric in order to be able to cut the panels for the bottom part of the bodice. And then later on I realized that I shouldn't have cut those sides off. So what I actually did was took the fabric from the shoulder pads and then cut panels to sew to the side of my bodice. So after all that is said and done, I also cut a curve for the front of my bodice because I want to kind of have this peak, as you will see in the style as it progresses on. Since the new bodice style will have a fitted mid section and an oversized gathered top section of the bodice, I had to do a little bit of tweaking to make sure that the top part of my shirt would not be too big and bulky once it was all gathered. So that's where you see me cutting off some extra fabric but still making sure I have that curve and peak in the front for once the bottom fitted section is sewn on. All of the bottom sections of this bodice are going to be gathered. So after all those pieces are cut out, everything is good to go. We're actually going to start the sewing process. I first started by basting my lining fabric to each outer piece of the green fabric. Once it's all basted, then I started constructing them all together, and then I just took my rotary cutter and made sure to even off all of the edges that weren't matched up.
Next, I top stitched all of the outer seams of my bottom section of my bodice so that I would have this really cool style detail. And then I went to the back piece and did the exact same thing, sewed all of my paneled sections together. And then we are going to top stitch all of those seams as well so that you have these really cool seam details on the outer section of my bodice. Once the front and back portions are created for the bottom section of the bodice, we are going to attach them together by sewing them along the sides to create side seams, and then make sure to top stitch those seams. Then we're going to even out any of the pieces that are a little bit jagged, and then this piece is basically done. So here's what the top stitching looks like. It gives a really cool style detail to the outer portion of the bodice. As you can see, I finished off all of my raw edges by serging them on my serger, and then we're also going to hem up the bottom of this specific piece about 1/2 inch before we attach it to the top part of our bodice. So like I mentioned earlier on, I realized that I needed to cut and add panels into the sides of my bodice, so I used the fabric that was covering the shoulder pads to create these triangular shapes that I then just sewed to the side seams of the front and the back of my bodice to create a little bit extra wiggle room. Once I added the extra panels and created all the side seams, I added in one line of basting stitches to the front of my bodice and the back of my bodice along the bottom. After my gathers were pulled to the correct widths, I started pinning that along the top portion of that bottom piece, which is like the fake corset kind of aspect of this bodice. So I just pinned that all the way around, and then once that is sewn on, the bodice will officially start to take shape. Here's what the bodice now looks like with the top and bottom attached together. So as you can see, I left a little bit of an opening along the back portion of my bodice, and this is where I'm going to add an invisible zipper so that I can get this top off and on while also still making sure that it has a fitted effect. So invisible zippers are super easy to install, but before I do that, I forgot I needed to sew on my sleeves. So all I had to do was take the sleeves that I had originally ripped off and reinsert them into the armholes, but because I had adapted the armholes, my sleeves were actually larger along the outer circumference of my sleeves. So an easy fix for this was to simply add a pleat along the top of my sleeve, and then I added a pleat to the bottom of my sleeve to also make it fitted to my arm, which gave it this really cool puff sleeve effect. So now the invisible zipper is added to the bodice and it is officially done. On to the pants.
So it is day 2 of working on this super fun thrift flip project, and yes, I am still wearing the same outfit from yesterday, but no one's gonna see me in it, so it doesn't matter. So yesterday we got the entire top finished, which is great. So now all we have to do is the pants and the jacket. So today we're gonna be tackling the pants. I still can't believe that I'm making pants for this project because usually my go-to are skirts and dresses, but really I kind of wanted to do something different and something more out there for my style to give me a challenge, 1 to sew and create, and 2 to wear. So these pants are definitely it, but they're really inspiring me. So we're going to be making like a wide-legged cargo type pants. We're not self-drafting it because pants are not my strong suit and it would just take way too long. So we are going to use this McCalls pattern. It has 3 different styles. I love all of them, but we're specifically going to use this yellow one. So it's like a wide-legged cargo pant style. So I think with this whole look, it's going to be very like street style, fashion week chic in a way is kind of what I'm going for. We'll see how it turns out. But my fabric got dyed yesterday, so I'll show you what color it turned out to be. And then we'll get started on cutting out these pants and sewing them. Okay, so like I said, this is the pattern that we were going to be using. It is McCalls M8206, and we are going to be sewing design C or style C. And here is the fabric. So remember yesterday it was a light creamy color, and then I got this dye to dye it. It was a tan color, and I think it dyed pretty accurately to the color. It probably could have been a little darker, but I realized after dyeing it that this fabric is actually a poly cotton blend, so it's 50% polyester, 50% cotton, and polyester tends to dye a little bit different than cotton fabric, but
I wanted it to be like a khaki color, and this is pretty close to khaki. So I know in my original sketch I had drawn the pants being brown, but I really want the pants to be more versatile in regards to my style, and I think this color will go with more things that I have. So we're gonna see how it turns out, because I really like this lighter vanilla tan-ish creamish color. So yeah, we're gonna start cutting out our pants. There are definitely a lot of pattern pieces for these pants, and it took a lot of time to not only cut them out but completely sew them. So here's the process of that. I will take you through it, but in short, just follow the directions in the store-bought pattern if you try to make these for yourself. They're actually very user-friendly. Oh, and if you were wondering what the dyed fabric ended up looking like, this is the new shade. So it's a little bit darker than cream, kind of a khaki vanilla-ish color. So another aspect of these pants that you have to keep in mind is that there are a lot of markings that have to be transferred onto the fabric because there are all of these different pockets and pieces that have to be sewn together. So before I even start sewing, I am transferring all of my markings using my Pilot friction pin, which will disappear once heat is applied to it. Alright, so all of the pattern pieces are cut out for these pants. There are definitely a lot of them. So this is the fabric from the sheet for the outer part of the pants. These are all the pockets and the waistbands and all those things. And then I decided that I wanted to line these pants, so I found just this textured like cream fabric that I had in one of my fabric drawers. So to construct these, we're just going to follow the directions here in the pattern for how they're supposed to go. So there's definitely a lot of steps for these because they are cargo pants. So we're gonna get started. So our first step is to attach or sew each section of the pants together. So each front and back piece is actually composed of 2 panels, so there are a lot of straight seams that have to be sewn. Then I serge those edges on both my lining, my regular outer part of my pants. Then we are going to press those seams to the side, and the main detail for these pants is that they are all going to be top stitched. So we have all of this fancy top stitching for these pants, which is basically what makes these pants what they are. So as you can see, we are going to press all of our seams, and then we are going to top stitch all of these pieces. So I'm sewing all of my top stitching just a tad bit to the side of my main seam. So as you can see, a top stitch means that you will have a visible stitch on the outer aspect or outer shell of your garment. So a lot of our jeans have top stitching, and I love top stitching because it really gives the piece a very unique, characteristic, and stylized detail. One of the key features of these pants is a front lapped zipper. So these are the kind of zippers that you are always going to have in the front of your jeans. So they're actually not that hard to install. Just look up a YouTube video. That's basically what I did to remind myself how I installed these, since it's been a while. So I actually got this industrial zipper when I was in New York, and basically I'm just installing it how I remember and how the YouTube video told me, which is super easy. So basically you sew the fabric along one of the sides, you have fabric that overlaps over the zipper to kind of hide it, and then once that left side is sewn into place, you have this lap which allows you to use your zipper and get in and out of your pants. After the front zipper is installed, it is now time to put on the front pockets, which are really cool. I absolutely love these. So I just folded in the raw edges of the sides of these pockets 1/2 inch, and then we are pinning it down along the guidelines that I had already drawn onto my fabric. Then we are just going to sew along the edges for these front pockets. So here what the pockets look like sewn on. So this is pocket 1 of the 3 different kinds of pockets that these pants have. So next up are the pockets on the back of the pants. So again, I am putting my transfer lines onto my pants so I know where I'm supposed to pin my pocket. Same thing, folded in the edges, pinned it into place, and then we are going to stitch around the sides and the bottom, leaving the top open. And here what the back pockets look like once they are sewn on. So now that we have the front and the back pockets, we are now going to attach the sides of the front of the pants to the sides of the back of the pants to create our side seams, top stitch that, and then we can sew on our really cool side pocket. Now that my side seams are sewn, I top stitch it, and then we are going to attach and sew on the last set of pockets, which are our side pockets. So they have these cool little pleat detail. I just followed the directions in the pattern. It was super easy. So it has a bottom section, and then it has this top flap that we have to sew down. After those are sewn, we are going to then sew the inside seam of our pant legs for both our lining and our outer leg of our pants. Here's what the lining looks like with the zipper. It's so pretty.
So it is day 4 of me working on this project. The pants are almost done. All I have to do is finish the waistband, and I'm so excited with how these are turning out. And then the last thing is the jacket, which I don't think will be too drastic of a thrift flip. I'm just making a couple of tweaks to it and not completely refashioning the whole thing, although that plan could change once we get into that project. So we're gonna finish the pants and then work on the jacket, and then this project's done.
Alright, last step with the pants is the waistband. So the waistband consists of an outer reinforced piece, and then it also has all of these loops, kind of like belt loops for these pants, and then we are going to attach on a lining, fold that over, sew it down, hand stitch on these little hooks to close our pants, and that's done. But for real, how cool are these pants? Like, I definitely had a major project runway moment here. Alright, the pants are done, so now it's time to move on to cropping the jacket.
Okay, so I'm working on the jacket. I cut it in half, so I cut off the top part, which was the main piece I wanted to use for this whole look. But because the jacket has so much fabric, I think I'm going to turn it as well into its own like jacket skirt set. So the Essentials Club has this super fun like blazer set tutorial where she basically like cuts the top off of the jacket and turns the bottom half of the jacket into a skirt. One of my students made a version of it like in the spring, and it was the cutest thing ever. And so I'm going to zoom the camera out so you can see what's left of the skirt, but it's actually a really good length for me, even though I'm super tall. So I think I'm going to have like this whole flip be like multiple pieces that you can like mix and match together, which is super cool. Okay, so this is the bottom half of the jacket. So originally it would be like right here and it would have the top connected to it, but this is what I think I'm going to turn into a skirt. So these are the buttonholes. I'm just going to move them over and then move the buttons so that it buttons on the side. And then you have the pockets right here, which are honestly super fun for the skirt. And then I'm going to go into the side seams, and I'm going to take them in at the side seams that already exist, so that I'm not adding additional things. I'm just using the seams that are already there, so it looks like it's supposed to be there. And in the back, we're going to add pleats, and then all we have to do for this flap of the jacket is cross it over and sew it up. So this is gonna be super fun. Okay, so the skirt is a super easy flip as long as the bottom half of the jacket is long enough for you. You're just going to adapt it and turn it into the skirt. You could cut it into multiple sections, but for me, because it works as it is, all I'm going to do is just move the buttons over to have the closure in the front, but I need the waist to fit. So in order to take that in, I'm just going to all the seams that already exist and taking in the seams. So the back seam, the side seams, and I'm going to take 2 of the front seams in about 1 inch or 1.5 inches, and then the waist will actually fit my waist, and then we're going to sew the slit in the back closed, and then hem the top, and the skirt is done.
So once all the seams were taken in, we serged the top raw edge, folded it down to create a waistband, and then sewed that into place.
Okay, so here's how the skirt turned out. It looks way better on, but basically I just shifted this over and removed the buttons so that it would fit more tightly. And it's actually long enough on me, which is super nice. This is what the back looks like. So I'm very excited with how this turned out. So now all we have to do is work on the jacket.
So the jacket adjustments consisted of seam ripping some of the seams around my arm so that I could remove the lining and gain access to the side seams for underneath the sleeve and one of the side seams for the side back section of the jacket so that I could just give it a bit of tailoring so that it would fit still loosely but a little bit more snugly along my body. I also shortened the sleeves since they were super long. I just chopped off the edges, and the same thing, I'm just going into the seams that already existed and taking them in about an inch along the seam under the arm and the seam along the side. Once the adjustments were made, I stitched the lining into place and hemmed the bottom of my jacket by serging it and then folding up the edges, stitching it into place, and then also hemming the bottom of my sleeves, and then that is done. Now it's time to meet with Tiffany and show her my project.
Alright, so before I show you the reveal, I do just want to say that obviously we had to do a reveal on Zoom because we are many states away. I'm in Texas and Tiffany is in New York. And also I am currently out of town for a conference this week. So we actually had to do our reveal while I was on my conference. Hence why my background is a hotel room and not my typical studio. So if you are confused as to why that is, that's the case. It's summertime. I'm at trainings and conferences for my job. All that stuff. So without further ado, here's our reveal.
Hello.
Hi!
How are you?
How are you?
I'm so good.
I'm good.
I'm excited about this project.
Me too. I'm so excited.
So you want to remind everyone what you sent me?
Yes. So I sent, if I remember correctly, I sent a men's blazer that was like a plaid material, and it had like a green accent line. And I also sent a like emerald green, like vintagey top. And I had also sent a bedsheet with like it had like an eyelet trim. Like it was a cream colored bedsheet. Yeah. So yeah, and it's so funny that we both sent each other green things.
I know, it was just the theme.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm
so
going to
excited.
watch my video. I'm going to put it up on my computer and then share the screen. So hopefully it will all work out.
Oh my gosh, it looks so good. Those pants? Oh my gosh. Those look so good, and they fit you so well. The fit of those pants are insane. Oh, I love that. I love a little puff sleeve. Oh my goodness. I'm obsessed with this. I did not think that you were going to make pants. I love that. Oh my gosh, look at the detail in the waist of the top. Oh my gosh, that looks so good. I love what you did with the top. That's insane. Oh, it looks so good. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I saw on your Instagram story that you cropped the blazer. Oh my gosh, I did not expect this though. I did not expect this set. Yes, we love a mini skirt. Wow. That looks so good.
So, how was that?
I am so impressed with your workmanship.
Thank you. Honestly, that was like such a challenging project, and I did so many things like that I've never done. And also, this project is so different from my normal aesthetic. Like, I really give myself a challenge.
Yeah.
So you sent me the 3 pieces, which all like went together really, really well, and I absolutely loved them. And you sent me a sheet, obviously, and I'm like obsessed with using sheets as fabric. And I was trying to play around with all of these ideas forever of like how I could combine them all together. I was thinking like doing a dress or a skirt. And then I couldn't like fall asleep one night, and I just had this vision of like these cargo pants in my head, which is just so out there for me. But I had just recently got like this simplicity pattern for cargo pants. And so I decided to just, let's do something that's very like classic, but also like almost street style, New York Fashion Week kind of in a way. And so yeah, the top, I basically cut the whole bottom piece off. I cut it into all these different pieces to kind of make like almost this mock corset kind of fit, and it's actually longer because I was tucking them into my pants. And then I obviously like gathered the bottom of it, and then I had to take the sleeves off and reattach them. So I added pleats to the top and the bottom. So it has like this really cool like statement. So it's still my top also has like a very 1940s vibe. So I feel like both of the looks have very like 1940s inspired, but like very still like 2021. And then the blazer was so fun because one of my students in the spring did a blazer set. And so she cropped the blazer and she made a skirt, and it was the cutest thing ever. And so when you sent me that kind of gave me an idea. And then, yeah, the pants are literally my new favorite thing because I did all of this stitching on them, and it just makes me so happy because they're just so cool.
They look so good. Like I thought in my head, I thought you were going to make a dress. Like just
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, our aesthetic is very like dress and frilly and puffy sleeves. So I was like, okay, she has enough fabric to make a dress if she wants.
Yes.
And then I was like trying to throw in that dark green as a little like contrast thing. I did not imagine this, and it is so good. Those pants fit you so well. I didn't even do that much like tailoring to them. I was really surprised that the pattern actually fit me really well, because usually I have issues with store-bought patterns not fitting me like whatsoever, and somehow it just turned out really great. So I actually dyed this sheet like a tan color. You can like barely tell, it's just like a little bit darker of a shade. And then I didn't use any of the eyelet, but I still have a ton of fabric left, so I almost want to make like a top to go like with the pants to like make another thing to like match it. So then there'll just be all these pieces you can just like rotate. No, that is such a good idea. I think you should definitely make a top with it too, because I think that's gonna look so cute.
Yeah, I for sure want to try that.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that I sent you those things, because there were so many other things that I found in the thrift store that I was like, oh, I could send this, or I could send this, or
I know.
You know, and I was like, no, you know what? I was like, this is what I'm going to send.
Yeah, shopping for the pieces to like send you was definitely really hard. I have 2 other pieces at home that I also bought, and they had to like decide at home what I was gonna send you. But I'm really glad that I sent you what I did, because I feel like you just turned it into something like way more fabulous than I could have thought, and it's just like amazing how it turned out.
So much. I mean, you definitely inspired me though. I was like, she's so good with color. I have to be good at this.
Yay, I'm so happy.
Yay, this is so good.
So exciting. All right, well, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this project. It was super fun, and it definitely challenged me in a lot of ways, but I feel like I learned so much along the way. It was a super fun project, and I cannot wait to see what you created from your pieces.
I can't wait to show you. Bye.
Alright, that is a wrap on this super fun thrift flip collab project. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you check the link in the description of this video to see Tiffany's fabulous project. I am so excited for y'all to see it, and if you haven't hit the thumbs up button, give this video a thumbs up if you liked what you saw and you are inspired to try a thrift flip for yourself. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on new videos in the future. Before we wrap up this video, here's a before and after of all of the pieces.